I don't hit it hard enough. We're gonna call to order the February 6th Committee of the Whole meeting. Clerk Cox, will you call roll, please?
Commissioner DeLu,
Here.
Commissioner Gisler,
Here.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler,
Here.
Commissioner Mazer, here, Commissioner Morales, Chair Ray, Commissioner Strebs,
Here.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Here.
Commissioner Wheeler is absent, 8 present.
Thank you, clerk. Commissioner Shrebs.
Thank you, Chair. I move the board go into closed session as permitted the Michigan Opens Meeting Act for the following reasons, as permitted by MCL 15.2681H to discuss material exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal statute, specifically the written legal opinion, legal counsel dated February 2nd, 2024.
Is there support?
Support.
Been properly moved and supported. Any discussion? We need to do a roll call vote. Clerk Cox, please.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales,
Yes.
Chair Ray,
Yes.
Commissioner Strebs,
Yes.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Yes.
8 yes.
I move that we come out of closed session.
I make a motion to approve the closed session minutes.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Any opposition? Minutes are approved. All right, so next up, we have public comment. This is a time when anyone may address the board on any topic. If you would like to address the board, please come to the podium. Please state your name and tell us where you're from. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Your time is displayed, and once your 3 minutes are up, your time to speak has finished. This is a time to provide input in a professional, respectful manner. Completed speaker forms ought to be placed in a tray at the podium to your right. No forms, I don't think, but if you wish to make public comment, now's the time to do so.
We're in a new year. I've got a speech here I wrote home. I thought this would be a good night to address this to everyone. It's important to me. A special thank you to Al Cesar, he's my dad's brother, and Mr. Perkins. Okay, I'm Senator Steve Cesar. I work for Uncle Sam. I live in the fantastic city of Kalamazoo, Michigan. I'm also Hungarian American. Especially want to thank John Taylor and Jeff. You. I want to thank you. And our sheriff too, of course. I was in the Kalamazoo County Jail for a day and the charges were dropped. I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. Even my lawyer, Mr. Reister, said so. Thank you, Commission, for your logistic positive attitude. Kalamazoo is rich in arts and culture, the Kalamazoo Mall and City Hall. I graduated from Kalamazoo Central High in 1980. I went to KVCC for about a good solid year. I live in the United States and I'm proud to be living in the United States. And I want to thank you again. Please keep up the logistic, positive, and sensitive attitude. And I thank you. That's all I have to say for now.
Thank you, sir. Can you
So,
state your name for the record, please?
my name,
Yes,
Steven Cesar,
thank you.
Hungarian American.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Judy Civic and I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan. I'm also the former director of the Area Agency on Aging and formerly associated with Kalamazoo County Advocates for Senior Issues. And something is on the agenda today that is very near and dear to my heart. And I just wanted to come and let you know that. And that is the senior millage renewal. Very important to this community. And not only to the seniors that it serves, but to everyone. It makes our community better. You know, we always used to say, as we were promoting the millage, is that Kalamazoo can be a good place to grow up and grow old in. And that is really true. We have such a caring community. I wanted to also say that I have been privileged to get to be close friends with someone who is receiving millage services. And I got to know her through my volunteer experience with Milestone Senior Services during the pandemic. I volunteered to be a phone friend and she wanted then to meet me after the pandemic. And so we met and we just became fast friends. Well, she has many things wrong with her. She was struggling to maintain her independence in her own home. Needed home care services, needed help navigating the system, needed home delivered meals. All of those things have come to fruition. And on her behalf, I want to say to all of you, please do what's necessary to move the millage to the next step so our citizens can vote on it again, because this woman and many like her need the services. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Corinne Bradley. I am the Chief Operations Officer at Milestone Senior Services. Our organization has been blessed with being able to receive some of the funding that has been passed down through the senior millage. I'd like to share some statistics with you with what we've been able to do with this funding. In the calendar year in 2023, we were allowed to do 107 different safety jobs in people's homes, making sure their home was safe for them to remain in. We built 27 ramps, allowing people to have accessibility to and from their home to be able to get back out into the community. We provided 25 chore services, again, making sure that the homes are safe and that people can remain independent in their homes. And we provided 7 individuals with bed bug pest remediation, which I'm sure, as you know, is not an easy task for anyone. And so that really allowed them to be able to remain independent, whether it was in their apartment or their home. And that's through our home repair department. Our nutrition department also receives a decent amount of funding from the senior millage. At the end of the first quarter for the fiscal year of 24, so the end of December, from October to December, we have served 175 unique homebound older adults. That equates out to about 183 meals per week that is being funded by the senior millage right now. What this allows us to do is it allows us to serve many others that we are not getting the funding from our state and federal government, as well as allowing us to prevent having wait lists. That's the one thing that we never want to do, especially when it comes to nutrition, is that we know nutrition is a key aspect of someone's health and well-being. So as Judy said, I do ask on behalf of the seniors in Kalamazoo County that you continue to move forward with the senior millage so that we can continue to provide these sources and these resources to the vulnerable population residing here in Kalamazoo County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Seeing no one else, are there any recorded calls or anyone on Zoom?
None this evening, Chair. Thank you.
All right. We will move along to review of accounts payable and payroll disbursements by our Finance Director, Post.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair Pro Tem, Commissioners. An accounts payable claims list totaling $9,403,817.04 is presented for review. Of this total, the Board of Commissioners is asked to approve claims totaling $8,138,593.21. Payroll disbursements totaling $8,165,229.84 are presented for the January 12th elected, January 19th general, January 31st elected, and February 2nd general payrolls. There's no conflicts of interest with this batch of claims. Are there any questions?
Commissioners, Wu?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a question for you or the clerk. I noticed we had $88,000 in early election costs.
Mhm.
Is the state gonna contribute anything towards that?
So I will answer that to the best of my knowledge. And so with the early voting elections, there's 2 forms of reimbursement in place. From my understanding, we will bill the state. The state has identified eligible costs that are reimbursable. And for those costs that are deemed non-reimbursable from the state, we have agreements with the locals that should recoup those costs. I'm looking over at the Chief Deputy Clerk who's nodding his head, so it sounds like I was very accurate with that response. Welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you, Director Post.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we have a request for approval to place the 24 senior millage renewal on the ballot. Would anyone like to read the resolution?
I would. I move that whereas, do I have to read the whole thing or do I just? Sure. Whereas a millage is necessary to serve Kalamazoo County seniors, Whereas in 2018, the voters of Kalamazoo County approved a 6-year millage at the rate of 0.35 mils for supportive services that provide education, safety, dignity, independence, in-home services, and healthy living programs to Kalamazoo County residents age 60 and older. Whereas this millage, which has been reduced by the Headley Amendment to 0.3462 mils, expired in 2023. Whereas Kalamazoo County government, by and through its County Health and Community Service Department and the Area Agency on Aging Region 3A, its division of the HCS, has established programs to continue to provide and expand supportive services for older adults directly and through contracted community entities to support older adults aging in their own homes. And whereas the Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners has determined it is essential to submit a millage renewal proposition to the voters of Kalamazoo County at the primary election to be held on August 6, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved that the following question shall be placed on the ballot for consideration of Kalamazoo County's electorate and the election held on August 6, 2024. Kalamazoo County Senior Millage, for the purpose of continuing a local fund as previously approved by the voters in 2018 to provide education, safety, dignity, independence, home services, and healthy living programs to Kalamazoo County residents age 60 and older, using the Kalamazoo County Health and Community Services Department to improve the quality of living for our seniors, shall the limitations on the total amount of taxes which may be levied against taxable property within Kalamazoo County, Michigan, as provided for by Section 6 of Article 9 of the Michigan Constitution of 1963, be renewed at the level previously authorized as reduced by the Headley Amendment at the rate of up to 0.3462 per $1,000 of taxable value for a period of 6 years, beginning with the December 1st, 2024 levy and extending through the 2029 levy, with a residential, which shall raise in the first year an estimated $3,696,436, for example, on a property with a residential market value of $200,000 with an estimated taxable value of $100,000, the 0.3462 mils would equal approximately $34.62 of levied tax annually to support older adults throughout Kalamazoo County. Resolved that the Kalamazoo County Clerk is hereby directed to cause the proposal to be stated on the August 6, 2024 primary election ballot and to be prepared and distributed in the manner required by law.
Support.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I thought it was short. It's been properly moved and supported. Any discussion? Commissioner Gisler.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I want to remind the people that I've already talked with or sent emails to that there's going to be some feedback expected by townships in my district concerning how much they get back. They know how much they pay into this millage. They'd like to have some kind of a breakdown by jurisdiction of how much they're getting back. I don't have any reason to think that's not going to happen, but I just want to remind that row sitting there, particularly you, Don, that, I'm expecting that, and I hope many of the rest of you are too. We need to be responsible with the citizens' money, and telling them how they're getting it back in their jurisdictions, I think is a good idea, not just for the senior millage, but for all the other countywide villages. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair.
I think this is, I remember when we first put this on the ballot, we do, and this kind of brings up, you brought a question up, John, we do every millage completely differently, whether it's the housing millage, whether it's the senior millage. We kind of, the overall kind of the input from commissioners is different on each one. Maybe it'd be good to get a report specifically from them before the August primary, but I certainly am vast support of this. I think they do a lot of good stuff, a lot of good services. They contract with the city of Portage on their new senior service center. So there's a lot of good stuff being done.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Clerk Cox, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Gisler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
Chair Ray, Commissioner Strebs,
Yes.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler.
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you, Clerk. So next up, we have review applications for the opioid settlement fund task force. So I hope everyone did their homework. We have four categories to discuss tonight. We will start with the first one. And the first one was a mental health provider. There were 7 applications and there is 1 seat. So I don't know the best way to have the discussion. If people just have recommendations and want to just discuss like top 3, Commissioner Strips.
Can I just ask administration, which color are the mental health provider applications, you know, just to help me find which one's in the pile?
Pink.
They're pink, thank you. Oh, I see it. It's typed at the top real small. I see, thank you, sorry.
Thank you, Deputy Administrator Warner, for putting this stuff together for us. Appreciate you. Okay. So if we have names and recommendations that we want to put forth, we can do that. I want to say will be the easiest way to go about it. Commissioner Shrubs, you look ready.
Uh-oh. Well, I wanted to lift up as we're discussing these applications. Several of them, you know, apply to multiple sectors. And also people through the sectors also identified themselves as people in active treatment or recovery. And, are you coming for me? Okay. So I just wanted to point that out and to lift that up. A couple in particular in the mental health provider section. One is Diane Schaefer. I know Diane, I probably said her name wrong. She's been working on the county opioid coalition that's been in place for a number of years, helps coordinate the activities and subcommittees that are happening and strategic planning that is occurring. So she's one I have of interest. And another from ISK as well was Lindsay Nguyen. She also identified as an individual with lived experience herself. We have lots of very strong candidates. You know, there's a doctor in our applicants here, but we have a doctor on the task force already. There's another in another section applying as well. So those were just things I weighed out. And those were 2 that I wanted to ask us to prioritize, but we can only pick one.
Thank you, Commissioner Shrubs. I also had Diane Schaefer written down. Elizabeth Ritzma and Susan Davis. I didn't really take notes as far as why I chose these individuals. I just put a star by Susan Davis, meaning she's my first choice in Family Children Services. I think I like folks with that perspective as it relates to the children impacted when their parents are going through these things. I don't think we spend enough time talking about the kids and the impact that it has on them. So I think having experience in that sector is important to me. So any others? Vice Chair.
I had Susan Davis and I also had Elizabeth Ritzman and Lindsay Nguyen. Those were my top 3.
Commissioner Jalou.
Yeah, so far I've agreed with most of them. Unfortunately, this is like being in the board appointments committee, and it's like when you go to the dog pound to adopt a dog, you walk in, you want to take them all, you know. But I also had Schaefer, Ritzman, and Nguyen, and I also had Eric. He's the doctor. I can't pronounce his last name. Ectes. Something like that. But I mean, so far I've agreed with Schaefer, Ritzman, and Nguyen. I mean, he's the professor and chair of the Department of Psychiatry at the medical school.
Commissioner Gisler. Thank you, Commissioner. All right, so
Sorry, Dina, I didn't have my mic on.
I may ask you to repeat that, Commissioner Gisler.
Yes, other than the people that have already been mentioned, I would like to see us give good consideration to Ian Forrester. Thank you.
all right, so based off what's been put forward, we have a few votes for Diane Schaefer, Elizabeth Ritzman, and Susan Davis. Those are the top three based on the feedback that we've just gotten.
I thought Lindsay Nyan got a fair amount of votes as well.
She has two. Others have three. Sorry. We don't want to narrow it down to four because then we just have to narrow it down. There's only one spot, unfortunately. But some of these folks, again, as Commissioner Strebs mentioned, have applied in different sectors. So they may be somewhere else as well. Let me see if she is. Yep, she is still in the running if she doesn't get selected here. Commissioner Strebs.
Thank you, Chair. So after hearing kind of where folks were at initially, just got pondering, thinking about how trying to bring in more voices. I really want to encourage us again to lean towards people with lived experience or working closely, directly with people in that space as well. And so some of our other applicants in this section are already involved in other organized or formalized bodies. Maybe there's some room for other voices to be present in this particular process. So I just want to lift up my support of Susan Davis, thinking about that focus on the young children and the impact of drug addiction in the community on them. I think that's probably really important perspective I haven't seen highlighted a lot.
All right, so we got our top three. How do we want to narrow it down to one? Yeah, we got to make choices tonight. Sorry, guys.
I think,
This was homework. Vice Chair.
maybe you go, each commissioner gets to vote for one of the three, and whoever gets the most votes at the end is the.
Sounds like the best method. We'll start with Commissioner Willard,
Susan Davis.
Commissioner Strebs,
Susan Davis.
Commissioner Morales, Susan Davis, Vice Chair Hepler. I'll also say Susan Davis, Vice Chair.
That was my first pick, so.
Commissioner Mason.
Susan Davis.
Commissioner Gisler. Go for Ian. That's okay.
I'm gonna vote for Ian Forrester. Today.
I love that. Commissioner DeLu.
Elizabeth Ritzman.
All right, thank you. So it looks like for the mental health provider, we have selected Susan Davis to be appointed. Congratulations, Susan. And then we will move to the prevention provider, which are, again, thank you, Deputy Administrator Warner, for the colors. Blue?
Chair, if I may.
You
May
may.
I just want to point out that actually Dina Sutton put together
Oh.
I just wanted to make sure the board knew that.
Oh.
But Deputy Smith did have a lot of involvement, obviously, in opioid, but wanted to give credit to Dina.
Thank you, Administrator. Dina, you know we love you and appreciate you. The colors are wonderful. Thank you. So we're now looking at the blue application. The prevention providers, there are 2 applications and we have 1 seat. Since my mic is already on, I'll share my choice. I selected Brenda Henry. She owns and operates 2 recovery houses since 2009. She also indicated that she is in active recovery for 32 years. And Vice Chair?
Yeah, I had, on that one, I picked, that we're, prevention provider, correct? I had Nicole, Boom. I'm gonna go back and look at my notes, but why I picked her, but that's what I have on my list.
Commissioner Straps?
Just picking on me now. I'm in support behind Brenda Hendry's application. Well, I mean, we have so many good applications to choose from, but that connection with personal recovery was important to me.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Morales? Oh, I saw your hand.
Oh, no, I was drinking. But water, agua. Brenda, I have Brenda.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner DeLu?
Yeah, I like them both, but I noticed Miss Henry's also under the community organization candidates, so I kind of put her down there because I think they're both very well qualified. I could go with either one. I'm actually
If you had to pick one, which one would you pick?
Miss Stortford.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. Any other feedback, Commissioner Wheeler?
I had Brenda.
Thank you. Commissioner Hepler, you look ready. All right. So we have 3 votes for Nicole and 4 for Brenda. Anyone else want to weigh in? Commissioner Mason?
I too would like to have Nicole.
Okay. And Commissioner Gisler?
I would like to see Nicole, myself, thank you.
Okay.
Not that
Awesome.
I need therapy or anything.
Sure. Attorney Norford, you look like you want to say something. We do. I think we have 5 votes for Nicole. Thank you. All right, so now we're moving to the treatment center provider. I'm sorry. Did you say something?
Community organization.
Well, there's a lot of other people qualified in that category as well, but we can talk about that when we get there. Currently, we are at the treatment center provider, and those are the yellow applications. There are 2 applicants, and we have 1 spot. I will share my choice. My choice was Maureen. I didn't write the last name. It must have been hard. Oh, Ford, okay. And I selected her because she is a ER physician and she is a daughter and her father, or a daughter of a father in recovery. To me, again, that is super important that we have that voice represented at the table. So that is why I selected Maureen. Any other commissioners? Vice Chair?
That's who I had picked as well.
Yeah, I had them both as a yes, but Miss Ford is an absolutely yes.
In agreement with Ms. Ford.
All right.
7.
Oh, 7 votes. All right, moving right along to community organization. We have 10 applicants. And unfortunately, we only have 1 spot. This was a very hard category. I do have Brenda Henry written down here again. However, I thought she was the better choice for the last category, but we'll take her. And then I also have April Anders. She also has lived experience, and Christopher, and I only wrote MIH, which means his last name was hard to pronounce. So those are my top 3. Any other feedback, Vice Chair?
I had Nancy King and Susan Davis, who we already picked. and Brenda Henry. So I only had 2 votes. Nancy King and Brenda Henry.
I'd like to initially support April Anders, Brenda Henry, and Nancy King.
Yeah, I had Henry King and I think it's Chris Mahalik. The other one you like?
Commissioner Morales? I have April, was it Nancy and Elisa?
Thank you, Chair. I only nailed it down to 2, and that was Henry and King, which I think have been mentioned already.
Commissioner Wheeler?
I had April Anders and Brenda Henry.
All right, I think we have a winner now. We have 6 for Brenda Henry. And Nancy King came in a close second. So Brenda Henry will be appointed to this category. I think we could have did the last one tonight too, Lindy. We killed it. All right. Any further discussion on any of this? If not, at our next meeting, we'll take up the last 27, but I think we get to select more than one person for that category. So make sure we do our homework.
And we can remove the people that already got selected, right?
Yeah, let's be sure to do that. Thank you again, Dina. So next we have the administration building discussion. Deputy Administrator Cole, would you like to take us through that?
Thank you, Chair.
I'm sorry, excuse me. What did we just do on this last column?
Oh, we did nothing. We have homework. So you have a
Oh,
copy of the
okay. I thought
27.
you were appointing all 27. I was just say, wow.
Oh, no. I think we only get to appoint 3, 2. So come with your best 2. Thank you. Deputy Administrator.
Thank you, Chair, and to the rest of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss the administration building renovations. As you may have noticed, throughout the building, you've seen improvements to lighting and continuing that in support of the staff approvals that were done as part of the 2024 budget. There's some changes that need to occur within the building to accommodate the new staff. As part of that, in your packets, there is a prospectus of the various changes throughout the building for a tune of $219,000. That is a subset of the facility optimization account where the board approved $455,000. The initial request is to support the moves of HR and planning, and also to begin the expansion of IT. It would also involve a move of the board offices to where is half of the space where planning currently is. So you would be right next to 207A. This would also support improvements in 207A. You may have noticed you have some auto adjusting height chairs in your space that would be replaced. So the height you choose would remain for that meeting. as well as other changes supporting long-term storage for voting machines in the basement and other efforts. So we just wanted to take this opportunity to have the conversation if there were questions, and just so we can continue moving that project forward so staff can begin hired and we can place those needed staff in those vacancies.
Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Hepburn?
Thank you, Chair. I want to express my thanks to this plan that you've laid out looks very good to me. And I think it's going to maximize our space, help our IT people, because they'll be more put together, so to speak. And I think that will help them. And it gets the board in a position, they're close to the chambers and the other things. So I think this is good use of this space. But I think you over budgeted by, it should only be 218, not 219. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm messing with you a little bit. So thank you. And we're close to our administration, so we can continue to do what we need to do. Whoops, sorry. Thank you.
Commissioner Chair, Vice Chair.
Really quick, didn't we approve 120K in CIP for the IT move? Couldn't that offset some of this cost?
Appreciate that. That would be as part of this and some of the needed supports of the others. The IT request was just for IT. This is supporting the IT for everything.
So we wouldn't be using that $120,000 for CIP for this project?
Not as part of that. We would be using the facility optimization fund for this part.
And the facility optimization fund, that funding source, I'm assuming is a carryover?
Yes, sir.
I've got no problem with it. 30% contingency seems big, but also the cost for the quote seems a little low, so it kind of evens out in the end. I think that it got no problem with it. I will say to the board that our footprint for IT is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And, I've spoke previously about, potential outsourcing and what we can do, but I know that this is part of a long-term planning process for the building, so.
Commissioner Shrubs.
Thank you. And I think the floor plan looks great, and I look forward to seeing these changes. Onto that same point about the IT footprint, we had some discussion about, being informed through a study of our IT sort of stance in the organization. And, as we advance through technology, our security features and the IT support for our staff that work remote, that work multiple, sites and locations around the community, I think this is a good way for us to visualize how much work that takes and how, I think it behooves this board to spend some money to make sure we have a strategic plan for how we're using and deploying those sorts of resources. One question for administration. This building also just has a ton of other deferred maintenance on it. It is kind of wheezing along. And that building optimization fund, in some regards was to help with that as well. So what's our long-term strategy to address all of the needs here in this building?
Thank you, Commissioner. This would also be part of an effort this year to actually update the master plan. So one of the first steps is a maintenance plan that will roll in and form the facilities master plan. That will put together detailed, steps and also costs associated with updating the building.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. So next up, we have gun violence subcommittee funding recommendations. I can go through these. So last year, the board created an ad hoc committee for the gun violence intervention subcommittee, which included Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, Commissioner Morales, Commissioner Strebs, and myself. And we spent a lot of time meeting last year with Deputy Administrator Cole, thank you for all your help. And we took some time and kind of went through the blueprint for peace, which I believe was just published by the Kalamazoo Community Foundation. I'll try to get everybody a copy if you don't have one. But we had some remaining funds left over from our ARPA funds that we allocated $1 million for the gun violence prevention. And we were talking through how to recommend to the full board for spending of those dollars. So we came up with the following recommendations. $10,000 to support Moms Demand Action 2-day summit, which is next week. And then there's $50,000 to train community health workers to build Medicaid. So what happened was we heard from some community organizations and they talked about how hiring community health workers would help with sustainability for the gun violence work within their organization. So we wanted to provide some funding to help get those folks trained. And then $200,000 for data collection efforts. Administration will receive an update from Upjohn. And then $333,400 to support blueprint items 1.2, 1.3, 1.5, 3.4, and 4.2, which we all thought were very important. The total amount includes the 10% administrative fee for the United Way to administer. And then also the committee further recommends more detail in reporting requirements and participation on a selection team for their allocations, so that we can ensure that we understand what work is being done with our dollars. We know where folks are and we just have the information in ways that we kind of don't feel like we do right now with the dollars that we have out in the community. So those were the recommendations. Are there any questions from commissioners? Vice Chair Pro Tem?
As you pointed out briefly, that there is matrix for this to be reported back to this council so we can see what's working and what's not. So I think that was quite important in gathering the data and providing back so we can see how this is working or not working, as it were. So I think that was quite important in all this.
Commissioner Gessler.
Excuse me. Thank you, Chair. Is there any calendar that's been laid out in terms of what Jeff just described? How are we expecting to see something when? Thank you.
So I think we still have space to decide that. So with these recommendations, it's just a recommendation. Obviously, it has to be approved by the full board, which it is on our 7 o'clock agenda because we'd like to get it approved today so that we can administer those funds to Moms Demand Action. But we get to decide how often we want these organizations that receive our funding to report to us. So if we want quarterly reports, annual, biannual, whatever, we get to name that. So do you have a recommendation? Do you have a recommendation? How often would you like to hear back?
Every 6 months at least, maybe quarterly, but that's probably pushing it. 6
Well,
months.
I think because these are ARPA dollars, the way that it works, they're reporting. So we're gonna send them the funds to United Way and then they'll get monthly reports from these organizations. So they'll have the data anyway. So if we want it quarterly, we can ask for it quarterly. Okay.
I'll go with quarterly then.
Any other questions? Vice Chair?
Yeah, I was gonna say, we probably don't need them in here quarterly. If they just send us the digital, we could read it.
Any others? All right, seeing none, great work committee. And we're moving on to corporate counsel search process and reporting structure discussion. Administrator Catlin, do you want to take that?
Yes, thank you, Chair, Vice Chair Pro Tem, and Commissioners. So as you are already aware, our Corporation Counsel, Angelina Barnes, resigned, and so we have a vacancy. And so we'd like to discuss two things, actually. One is posting the position, how soon you all would like to have that posted. We could have it posted this week if that's the desire, but also wanted to talk about how involved the board wants to be in that selection process of even reviewing the applications. Last year when we hired Angelina, the board actually reviewed all applications, but there are other models out there, and speaking with outside legal counsel where the board could assemble a smaller subset of this body to review applications to then bring back just making this up with 3 to 6 applications for the full board to review to then determine if they want to bring those 3 to 6 candidates in for consideration for interview, or maintain status quo and just have all of the full board review all the applications. Or another option is just to have administration vet all of the applications and then recommend 3 to 6 candidates for the board to review to then bring those candidates in, 3 to 6 candidates. So there's a sort of some myriad of ways to do that to help expedite the application review and the hiring process. So we can kind of start there and have that discussion and then move on to the other part of the discussion about reporting structure.
Thank you, Administrator. Vice Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chair. What kind of time frame are we looking at to get a posting, possibly get back some applications so that they can be reviewed by whichever group that we choose to put together to review that?
Great question, Vice Chair Pro Tem. So commissioners, we can have the position posted this week yet. And it's kind of up to us, but typically I think last time we kept the position open, we posted it open until filled, but typically we like to leave it open for at least a month and then start a review. So we can kind of put that in the posting that we, begin the review process a month from posting, but keep the position open until filled, and in the event that the selection process just doesn't work out.
And then we'd have whatever ones are selected, then we'd have a interview by the full board at an open meeting to ask questions, I assume.
Yes, that is correct. It will be an open meeting and a full board interview.
Are you searching for opinions already on this? My opinion is have administration review the applicants and come back to the board with no more than 3.
Any other opinions? Vice Chair?
I'm okay with that as long as we know just how many applicants we got. Like if there was 20 and we got down to 3, but if there was only like 4 and you narrowed it down to 3, yeah.
Commissioner Mason?
Yeah, and I agree with both of you.
Commissioner Straps?
I do as well. I mean, have full faith in administrators' ability to help vet, and board will interview.
I also. So we can move on to the next part of the discussion.
All right, that was that was simple. I appreciate that. We will get that posted this week, and yeah, that's great. The second part of the discussion is the reporting structure. So there's been desire, I know board leadership in our meetings, there's been a desire to transition the way that Corporation Council reports. So currently the position is appointed by the Board of Commissioners, and there was a resolution approved back in September 2022 where certain positions that are appointed by the board actually report to the administrator. And that doesn't mean by any way that the board can't, they still maintain the hiring and the firing authority. So we ended up changing that for a myriad of reasons for Corporation Council specifically, and it was really trying to align Corporation Council duties with the administration of county government. It was taking into account some of the ethical and professional conduct considerations. We were trying to look at enhancing accountability of the office and service effectiveness. So and that service delivery. So kind of like the internal customer service and the internal services departments, how do we drive that customer service internally? Because Corporation Council is really serving county government, not just the Board of Commissioners. So how do we instill accountability in that and who's managing it? We also looked at precedent and best practices, mitigating those risks and political influence, and then streamlining the decision-making. So for those reasons, my recommendation is to maintain status quo. However, it is it's the desire of the board that we defer to. So, but those mitigating reasons are attached in the packet. And anyway, I think that's what board leadership want to have a discussion on this evening.
Commissioner Morales.
Thank you, Chair. I am in support of leaving council in the administrator's hands. On top of all of the meetings that we have, emails, and, I don't know if people live in this building outside of their workplace, except when John was chair. I don't see why council would report to us unless it was and I don't really like two-way reporting because it confuses the person on who gave the directive or who said what. So, I mean, if we wanted to, I would say between the chair and administrator, but my full recommendation is to leave it in the hands of the administrator.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gibson.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to pose a question to our corporate attorney seat filler tonight, who probably knows kind of how many of the 83 counties do it the way we do it now, and how many have the corporate counsel reporting to the board directly. Got an estimate? I'm not looking for a head count, just, give me percentages if you can.
See if I remember how to work the microphone. Matt Nordfjord, Coastal Krantowski. So I do not have a good estimate other than to say the various models I'm familiar with are either in-house, which generally is, I couldn't even say this. Sometimes it's smaller counties just have one attorney in-house, and sometimes larger counties have attorneys in-house and others contract. So there's a range of models. What I've experienced, and not every county has a county administrator, is that when there is a county administrator, most of the interaction that my office would have would be through the county administrator. So just in sharing that experience, that's the normal flow. The client is the majority of those on the Board of Commissioners. So from a workflow standpoint, just anecdotally, it makes sense to me to have the reporting relationship through the administrator, because frankly, the buck stops with him on all items of business going up to the board anyway. So we had some discussions about this. I was involved a little bit the first time this came up. It's completely your decision. I would just share that oversight of employees is difficult at a board level in my experience. It can be done. Whether or not it should be done is your call.
Thank you.
Yeah, a couple of things. I can go through each one. I disagree that buck stops. I think the buck stops with this Board of Commissioners, but I am in support of having that reporting structure to the County Board of Commissioners for a number of reasons. That's previously how we used to have it when the old Tom Candy situation back years ago, and I think it worked well. The last thing, and the reason that the reports to the board is because of the state constitution. Nobody can hire a corporate counsel with the exception of the Board of Commissioners. So in my opinion, if we do corporate counsel that way, the board needs a lawyer that reports to them. Last thing that we think that we want to have is the clients are this County Board of Commissioners at the end of the day anyway. I'm okay with a dotted line of some sort of something to that. But again, we are the only people that can hire a corporate counsel. We are the only people that can fire a corporate counsel. And this was changed in Kalamazoo County about 3 or 4 years ago. I wasn't on the board when it was changed, but I feel that this county board needs an attorney or someone that can represent them without any sort of conflict of interest. So that's my opinion, and that's my position on that.
Commissioner Sharps.
Thank you. And, I generally agree with the sentiment. I mean, council's job is to represent the corporation, which moves and makes decisions by the majority of this board. At the same time, the administrator is uniquely positioned to understand the priorities, whose attention is most pressing on legal issue. Should Corporation Counsel focus on this burning issue at the Parks and Recs Department, or should they focus, they can help direct that day-to-day workflow that this board just simply does not, have the awareness of. We are at a strategic and policy level. We still hire and fire corporation counsel. So if they then are acting outside of the bounds of their ethics, then we move and take action regarding that. But, if we haven't noticed, we've had some difficulty retaining counsel. And good, clear leadership and direction from a supervisor instead of a number of different individuals with political interests. Or we'll delay decision-making because we'll have to convene as a full board to provide direction to council. Whereas administration and council can work through issues, have a bulk of the work done, bring that to the board for review and approval. And I think it just lends for efficiency. When we look back where we were years ago, county government has grown. We have many additional millages that we have in place. We have contracting, that we're just bogging that office down. And really letting administration prioritize, I think, helps us retain the quality staff that we need. We have to have some faith in administrator and in our hired counsel. At the end of the day, they still do represent this board, whether or not they go to administrator and say, I need some time off, and administrator, works as their day-to-day supervisor rather than the board.
Thank you, Chair. I go back to the days of our former council, Tom Canny, who reported to the board. I concur with the vice chair in this one that not anything against our administrator and the day-to-day operation. I have no problem with that, but I don't see a problem with them working very closely with our administrator, but they should, I feel, report back to us because we're the ones that hire them, we're the ones that fire them. So I think we've done it kind of both ways now, and I kind of feel like, let's go back to we're going to hire, or we're advertising for an additional support staff for that position. So there'll be multiple attorneys in that office. So I don't see a problem with them working that way and then reporting back to us. Day to day, they're going to take care of through the administrator. But I think it just works better when they report, when we are the reporting agency.
Commissioner Strauss, I think I agree with like 95% of what you said. The thing is the day-to-day operations, I completely agree with you. The priorities though, that's us. The priorities is this board of commissioners, and the political interests, that is us. I mean, we're, representative democracy. That's what we do. The last thing though I want that our corporate counsel to think is that their supervisor is one person or is the administrator. I'd like them to think, or whoever he or she is, or they are, that this board would be that supervising role. The day-to-day operations and the workload, absolutely. I think a dotted line is appropriate. But at the end of the day, the authority rests with us. That's why I've come to that conclusion.
Thank you. I guess for me, we can hire and fire anybody. Like, if there's an issue, we can take it to Kevin and discuss the issue when we're talking about. I think when you got 9 people handling one person, as we do with Kevin, it's hard. When I want something, you want something, and then it's time for evaluations and you get dinks because you didn't do what I wanted. And I think sometimes when we get into managing, especially attorneys, that personal issues may come into play. So I'm not in support of it. Dotted lines are confusing. And at the end of the day, why do we need it? I mean, our counsel just said, gave a recommendation on his opinion, and that's who we lean on for opinions as we lead in county government when we have issues like this. So again, I am not in support of council reporting to us. And I don't even know if we all have time to be in council's business like that outside of what they give us to review from the administrator.
Thank you. Excuse me, on a different subject, but still related. I wish I'd made better notes to myself. Didn't we just hire an administrative assistant or somebody to basically anchor the legal office, even though we don't have the corporate counsel hired yet? And are we going to get a chance to meet that person tonight?
There we go. Thank you, Chair. To answer your question, Commissioner Gessler, yes, so that temporary administrative assistant was solely hired to assist in implementing the matter management system. So they're actually currently, because we don't have any space for them, they're working remotely, working on those, migrating, I think it's about 450 matters that were existing and then ongoing new matters that come in. So they're helping with that. You'll see on the agenda tonight is actually a contract for Angelina Barnes to continue migrating all of that information into the new matter management system and in preparation for the new corporation council when they begin their tenure. So that's the purpose of the temporary administrative assistant currently.
Last turn.
I just looked up 450 pending matters. So administration continue that dialogue with council.
Commissioner Dubuque?
Yeah, I've read it before. I mean, I'm glad we have this written, the rationale to maintain the current reporting structure. I've read it before and I'm reading it again tonight, and I know maybe the other side didn't have enough time to prevent their written opinion, but after reading this again, I totally support keeping it the way it is, maintaining the current structure.
2 seconds.
I probably could have had a written opinion had we had an attorney reporting to us.
That was good, John. So I want to just add my 2 cents real quick. I do want to say that I support the current structure. At the same time, I do feel like the corporate counsel should report to the board only because of a previous experience where I couldn't tell whether the corporation counsel worked for that individual or for the county. And so I didn't really like that. It didn't really work for me. But I do know that we don't really have what we need to really manage corporation counsel as a full board. So I'm okay with the administrator just continuing in that role. So that's my 2 cents. Commissioner Morales?
Thank you. So recommendations, like, is there something clear that we need to express for situations like that? So that if we're feeling, so that we don't feel like and we've had that situation a couple times since I've been on this board where we don't know who is representing us and who may per se represent you or your employees. So if we can have something more clear, counsel, for this person in this position to say you represent the county, so that in situations where we have things fizzling through or there's some confusion on, on the dais, that they know that we get first dibs.
Since you're writing, can we also add that the commissioners can add input to their reviews? I think we should take part in that as well. All right, sounds like we have consensus on keeping things the way it currently is. You don't think so?
I think, yeah.
You want to raise hands or not?
It's 5-4.
All right. All right, so if there's nothing further, do you have direction? I'm sorry, Administrator Catlin, you know what you need to do?
Yes, we'll get it posted ASAP and we'll report back to the board when we have viable candidates. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Is it ethical to include our current council as part of the selection process? Are they allowed to have any input?
Yeah, yes, there's no issue with that. We'd be happy to review and provide input.
Yeah, we're gonna bill you. All right, if there is nothing further, we are adjourned. All right, 7 o'clock. We are going to call the 7 o'clock, Commissioner Gisler. We're going to call the February 6th regular Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Clerk Cox, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner DeLu,
Here.
Commissioner Gisler,
Here.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Here. Commissioner Mazer. Here. Commissioner Morales. Absent. Chair Ray,
Present.
Commissioner Strebs, absent. Vice Chair Taylor,
Here.
Commissioner Wheeler.
Here.
7 present.
Thank you. Commissioner Gisler, will you lead us through invocation and reflection?
Excuse me. Please pray with me. Lord, please grant us the wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times. Also grant us a sense of the welfare and true needs of our citizens and a keen thirst for justice and righteousness. Grant us confidence in what is good and fitting and the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement. Finally, grant us the personal peace to do the job that needs to be done. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Gisler. So we have two proclamations. The first is a request for approval of proclamation honoring Carolyn Wyndham for 25 years of service. Commissioner Wheeler.
Is Carolyn here?
You can come up to the podium.
To honor Carolyn Wyndham, whereas Carolyn Wyndham has served the citizens of Kalamazoo County for 25 years as of February 4th, 2024. Whereas Carolyn Wyndham has faithfully served as customer services specialist. And whereas the County of Kalamazoo wishes to acknowledge and honor employees who have longevity under the umbrella of county government, since it is through longevity that expertise in the employee's particular field is achieved. Now therefore be it resolved that the Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners does hereby acknowledge with gratitude the many years of dedication and service Carolyn Wyndham has imparted to the citizens of the county and offers its best wishes for many more years of mutual association.
Second.
It has been properly moved and supported. Any discussion? No? Clerk, will you call the roll, please? Sorry, you can say something if you want after we vote. Thank you.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Commissioner Mazer.
Yes.
Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
Chair Ray,
Yes.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler. 8 yes.
So next, we have a request for approval of proclamation recognizing the retirement of the medical examiner, Dr. Joyce DeYoung. Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Any discussion? Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Gisler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales. Chair Ray, Vice Chair Taylor, Commissioner Wheeler.
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you, clerk. And next we have communications. We have one public hearing on the establishment of the Industrial Development District will be conducted by the Oshimo Charter Township Board on Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. Are there any other communications that commissioners would like to present? All right, seeing none, we will move to consent agenda items.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. So next, approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the July 16th
So
committee of the
moved.
whole? It's been properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, minutes are approved. Next is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
It has been moved by Vice Chair Taylor, supported by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition? No opposition, the motion carries. All right, next up, we have public comments. So this is a time when anyone may address the board on any topic. If you would like to address the board, please come to the podium. Please state your name and tell us where you're from. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Your time is displayed, and once your 3 minutes are up, your time to speak has finished. This is a time to provide input in a professional and respectful manner. Are there any citizens wishing to make public comment? Seeing none, Dina, do we have any recorded calls?
No recorded calls and no hands raised, Chair.
Thank you, Dina. And Vice Chair, will you lead us through the consent agenda?
Gladly. Under administration, we have a request for approval of creation of ERP administrator position and elimination of 2 finance positions. Request to authorize the county administrator controller to execute a contract amendment number 7 with CSM Group necessary to proceed with the Judge Charles A. Pratt Justice Center building project. Board of Commissioners, request for approval of appointments to the Animal Services and Enforcement Advisory Board. Request for approval to reappoint Abigail Finn to the Older Adult Services Advisory Council. Request for approval of a professional service agreement between the County of Kalamazoo and Angelina M. Barnes. Request for approval of appointments to Southwest Michigan Behavioral Health Substance Use Disorder Oversight Policy Board. Under Circuit Court, a request for approval of position funding eliminations and creations for problem-solving court administrator position. Under Finance, a recommendation for approval of accounts payable and payroll disbursements. A request for approval of various budget adjustments, transfers, positions, elimination, and creation housekeeping. Request for approval of 2024 budget position changes, housekeeping. Request for approval to allocate funding to support departmental requests and laptops for new positions not included in the 2024 budget. Under Health and Community Services, a request for approval of amendment number 1 to fiscal year 24 emerging threat agreements, number 202-40182, and 2 for the health officer to electronically sign amendment on county's behalf with eGrams. Request for acceptance of Area Agency on Aging 3A, AAA 3A Statement on Grant Award SGA number 2024-1. Request for approval and signature of a contract with Disability Network Southwest Michigan Contract number OAAGRANT 23-25-1. Request for approval and signature of a contract with Legal Aid of Western Michigan. Request for approval and signature of a contract with Senior Services Incorporated DBA Milestone Senior Services. Request for approval and signature of a contract with South County Community Services. Request for approval of end user licensing agreement with Meyer to purchase food holding gift cards for the Soldiers and Sailors Relief Program and for Veteran Service Office Supervisor to submit EULA online. Request for approval of position elimination and creation for the Veteran Service Office. Request for approval of a budget adjustment and transfer and position elimination creation of the Health Education Division. Request to approve a resolution to authorize the county administrator to issue a written non-binding indication of the county board's willingness to consider a formal application to expand the KLA GRZ. On Sheriff, a request for approval and signature of potable service agreement with Trident Care. Request for approval of position change. Request to approve and sign amendment to number 1 to the professional service agreement between the county and Total Court Services. Request for approval and signature on contract for professional services with Freedom Counseling LLC. Request for approval and signature on people-driven technology statement of work and quote with Sheriff's Office. Request for approval to accept Kalamazoo Community Foundation grant of $20,000 to be used for indigent equipment funding. Authorized allocation of $13,000 from the county's general fund for indigent equipment funding, and authorize the county administrator controller to execute the grant agreement. I move that all items be voted on at one time and be considered as a consent agenda by the board.
It has been moved by Vice Chair Taylor, supported by Commissioner Wheeler. Clerk Cox, will you call the roll, please? Great job, John.
Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales, Chair Ray, Vice Chair Taylor, Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. 8 yes.
Thank you, clerk. So next up, we have Gun Violence Subcommittee funding recommendations. Is there a motion to approve? It has been properly moved and supported. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any
Aye.
opposition? No, the motion carries. And then we have, next up, we have public comment discussion. Administrator Catlin.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair Pro Tem, and Commissioner. So we had discussed some minor details about this last meeting, and I was tasked with going back, or we were tasked with going back to review what other counties or units of local government are doing in the space of public comment. So as you know, we have provided some additional opportunities to provide public comment or to deliver that public comment as a result of the pandemic. And one of those additions were recorded public comment calls. So we kind of took a look at, it was roughly 20 communities around the state, and observed that none of those communities that we looked at, and they were just kind of just at random, just, you know, those that were bordering us and just kind of throughout the state, none actually allowed for recorded public comment call. There's probably some out there that do, but I just wasn't able to find them. And then what we also found were that typically if for example, our regular meeting has opportunity for 2 public comment deliveries. So you could, what happens is that a lot of those municipalities or counties that offer 2 opportunities for public comment usually limit the first one to agenda items only, and then the second opportunity for any topic. Our recommendation is that in terms of staff workload and just the complications of recorded public comment call, staff recommendation is to eliminate the recorded public comment call. There is still opportunity for public to deliver public comment virtually. So we would still have that option on Zoom for participants to deliver public comment over Zoom during one of the public comment opportunities. So we would still have that opportunity. They just couldn't record a public comment call. They would still have to just kind of do it live. They would obviously still be able to present or deliver a public comment in person if they'd like, or communicate directly with one of the commissioners, either via phone or email, and then a commissioner could share that during the communications portion of any agenda. I did review, and I didn't get a chance to, just with departure of corporation counsel, I did specifically look at, for folks that want to participate via Zoom and deliver public comment, I am aware from Commissioner Morales that MSU requires those participants to register. From what I was able to find, and I have not had a chance to touch base with corporation counsel yet or outside legal counsel, it seemed to me that that was actually against the OMA, the Open Meetings Act, that you could not allow that. But I have not had that. I wouldn't want to opine legally because I'm not an attorney. So, but I hyperlinked the law, and maybe Attorney Norfier could opine on the spot. But if not allowed, I would recommend, obviously we don't do it. And to be honest, we don't get that much participation on Zoom. I'm not sure it's really necessary to require pre-registration, but if it's allowed, it's something that we could do if it's allowed by law. Other than that, that's all I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Administrator. Commissioner Morales.
Thank you. I thought for MSU that they register for all public comment. That's why I have brought it to your attention. I know that when I attended one of the meetings, that was the protocol, that you had to register to come up to the podium and speak, and you had to register basically for all public comment, regardless if it was regardless if you came in or if it was online. And I thought I printed some materials out to support that. But I mean, whatever fits for you all, I just thought it would be easier to streamline. And then I think they had to have it in 48 hours prior to the meeting. So they had to make the request at that time. And then you will go and maybe order as received.
Yes, apologies. You are correct. Yes. So they require pre-registration for all public comment, which anyway, I started doing some research on the OMA, and it just seemed like that wasn't to me, it seemed like it wasn't allowed, but again, I need legal counsel to look at that.
Vice Chair.
Yeah, I'm not an attorney either, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, and I think you are, you are correct. That you can't, I don't think you can require pre-registration for an open meetings of a public body. But that's my understanding. I kind of like option 3. Get rid of the eliminated recorded call-in public comment, but then enhance public engagement, maybe whether it's, we have an upcoming vote on something or something that we want citizen input. Maybe Taylor Koopman or something could do an advertising campaign through social media of some sort. Also, maybe advertise the fact that if they want to send us in communications and be in our official communications, you can send the Board of Commissioners an official communication of your position on anything. Advertise that so people could do that. But I do agree with you that eliminating recorded call-ins is going to make it this meeting more efficient. So that's my 2 cents.
Commissioner Gisler.
Thank you, Chair. Let me reiterate what I think you said, Kevin. We're talking about 2 citizen comment sessions for each committee of the whole meeting, and 2 then for the regular Board of Commissioners meeting as well. So a total of 4 opportunities.
So thanks for the question, Commissioner Gisler. I believe that we would remain status quo on the committee of the whole, just offer the 1 opportunity like we do now, but still continue to offer both opportunities for public comment on the regular meeting. Yep.
And also, you made mention of some people offer you a chance to comment on the agenda items, and then there's another opportunity for non-agenda items. Are we going to get involved in that? I'd rather just make your comments, whatever.
Yeah, so yeah, and that's not a recommendation from us by any means. It's just something, an observation that we saw out there, is that typically when there are 2 public comments, the first one usually is for agenda items, the second one and that is then just wide open. I'm not sure we really need to do that here. Seems unnecessary in our case, but it's something you could do. You could limit the first opportunity to solely focus on agenda items and then the second one wide open.
My feeling is it's unnecessary. Thank you.
All right, so do we have a motion someone would like to make? Sure.
All right, I move that we eliminate the call-in option for public comment, and that we also dedicate finances $5,000 to an advertising campaign for Taylor Koopman to promote the option for communications.
May I suggest the $5,000 be allocated from contingency line item?
Absolutely. I thought I said contingency. I didn't. Okay. Contingency line item. How about the $5,000 comes from wherever the administration controller feels is appropriate place to come from, but we should dedicate a little bit of money to do this.
Okay, so we have a motion by Vice Chair Taylor and support by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler.
And clerk, I will write that out to you. I apologize.
Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Any opposition? All right, motion carries. So next up, we have public comment again. Okay. This is a time when anyone may address the board on any topic. If you would like to address the board, please come to the podium. Please state your name and tell us where you're from. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Your time is displayed, and once your 3 minutes are up, your time to speak has finished. This is a time to provide input in a professional, respectful manner. We already voted for that.
Hello. My name is Zachary Laster. Regarding public comment, I just want to make sure that the Zoom will include the call-in from a phone feature, because not a lot of people have internet access. And I would highly encourage that there be some sort of official address, either email and or post office, to where someone can submit comments in writing and that be included as part of the board agenda. And then also, can we please have the ability to remove all the consent agendas items back? John Gisler remembers that. I would like that back.
Thank you, Zach. All right, seeing no one else wishing to make public comment, we will move to report of officers, bodies, administrator, controller. I do not have a report. Vice Chair, do you have a report? Anything you'd like to report?
Sorry to hear about the Lions. But that's it.
Thank you, Vice Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chair. I did talk with our administrator tonight about some issues over at the courthouse that were brought, that I noticed that while I was over there at a court case I had today. They are working to address a number of those issues that through our, maybe he should explain this, but through our engineers and folks on some things that are working and some that aren't. And we're hoping to have the report back very shortly on how we're going with making these repairs and to make this building as functional as possible for our judicial side of our operation. So I thank you for looking into that. I know you were apparently already on most of it, and the list that I gave you was not too extensive, but that you're already on it. So thank you. Also, I am sad about the Lions also, but they played well for the year. I do want to thank the many men and women of our county that worked tirelessly last month to keep us up and functioning with the weather, the strange weather we had. Also, the men and women of our law enforcement, our firefighters, our ambulance folks, our road departments, trying to keep the roads clear from the slush that we had. That is extremely difficult work. If any of you plow snow, you will find that plowing slush is far harder than plowing nice, white, fluffy stuff. Thank our men and women of the armed forces who are now working to try to keep us safe. And I think we need to keep in mind, we lost 3 very good people over across the ocean last week, and we need to keep them and their families in our prayers. And all the other men and women that are over there and over here to keep us all safe. And with that, thank you.
Thank you. Administrator Catlin.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair Pro Tem, and Commissioners. In public, we have some really exciting updates to share from several departments. I'll start with the first one, our Buildings and Grounds Department, and Director McNamara and his staff really often try to do their best to save the county money through all sorts of efficiency, building upgrades, and cost energy saving programs. So one of them that we participate in is the Consumers Energy Savings Program. And so when we constructed the Justice Center, we had an opportunity to participate in their Consumers Energy Business Energy Efficiency Program, and that saved the county $65,581. And so that entailed like a lot of the LED lighting and just those sorts of things. So they do this on various buildings that we own, and so we want to try to highlight that and make the board aware that that team out there is always trying to save money and upgrade the buildings to be more sustainable and efficient. A bunch of updates from the Animal Services and Enforcement Department. So the annual dog license renewal goes through March 1st. So if you have a dog over 4 months of age, then state law requires that they be licensed. In our county for 2024 licenses period from in Kalamazoo County for the 2024 license period from December 1st, 24 through 1/31/24. I think it's actually December 1st, 23 through 1/31/24. That's okay. It's so we've had 10,465 licenses. So that's that equates to $169,450. This compares to 11,169 licenses for 2023, or $181,000. So we're just slightly a little bit behind than last year. So we do encourage residents to continue bringing their dogs in or getting them licensed. Otherwise, the late fee will apply. So March 1st, that deadline. We wanted to inform the public and the board that starting Tuesday, February 13th from 5 to 7 p.m., the department will open for evening hours again, now that all of the staff have been trained and now that we have staff on board. So we had to discontinue that service until we got staff trained and on board. So that'll be occurring, Tuesday evening hours will be occurring every week. Earlier this week, Director Chad Ensign was featured on ABC 13, highlighting the Animal Services Department and an available dog for adoption, which was Buster. So check that out if you haven't seen it. Wanted to let you know that the Animal Services Enforcement Department received a grant award through MDARD in the amount of $5,000, and that'll go towards purchasing microchip scanners to place with local law enforcement and to hold microchip clinics to increase return of pets to owners. So that's a good thing. And then lastly, for the Animal Services and Enforcement Department, we sent this out via email, but they will be receiving a refresh county logo to better align with the county's branding guidelines. From our Parks Department, the Kalamazoo County Parks and Recreation Commission is currently developing a Parks Recreation Master Plan and needs public support and input. So please get involved in that. They will be holding a county park plan open house to gather that public input and feedback on the goals and projects specific to county projects and the parks recreation department. So that'll be held on Wednesday, February 21st from 4 to 6 p.m. in the main expo center located at 2900 Lake Street. 2024 annual park passes are on sale and can be purchased by phone in person at the parks office or at a park, either at the gatehouse or through the self-pay envelope. So check those out. The Health and Community Services Department this Saturday, February 10th from 8 to noon, household hazardous waste will be open. So residents can drop off their hazardous materials like light bulbs, batteries, cleaners, OI based paints and stains for free. In case I'll stop there with that one. And then lastly, I have just some other updates that are exciting on behalf of things that we've been working on that have been priorities of the board. So the Tri-Share program is up and running. We have that successfully implemented with the vendor. Communication, all employees will be going out for that. Deputy Administrators Smith and Cole have been working on the Employee Emergency Relief Funding. So they're reviewing a draft RFP for that. We hope to have that in place by probably April or sometime there before then. So that's going out. Your next meeting, you'll hear from the DEI director just on all the happenings of DEI. He sent an email, actually, I believe it was either earlier this week or really late last week, just encouraging the board to continue taking the global legal trainings, DEI training. So check those out. But we have a lot of participation in that as we've required it for all employees. We're already starting some pre-audit work, and that's starting actually in the treasurer's office. So we have Maynard Costarin assisting us, and they'll be arriving Monday. Audit work begins with the pension the first week or the second week in March, and then they kind of start their process on all the other finances that we have. So want to make sure that things run smoothly. So we have them starting on our outside accounting firm, starting on the treasurer's office first, just to check on a few items. And then lastly, all I have is a while back, the board had asked us to follow up on per diem compensation for employees that serve on board appointed commissions and other bodies. And so we have that legal opinion that was delivered by Kolstoker-Toski, and that was actually delivered to board leadership. And so it will go to the full board, but board leadership needs to discuss how they'd like that agenda item to be placed on a future agenda. In brief, the compensation is allowed unless specifically prohibited by state law. So board leadership will discuss how they'd like to handle that moving forward on an agenda for future discussion. So, and that's all I have to share at this time, but happy to answer any questions that I haven't, or on any topic I haven't spoke about.
Thank you, Administrator Catlin. Commissioner Hipper.
Thank you, Chair. On Parks Department, does that have to be in person, or is there ability for folks to email or send letters or something to them in reference to their plans?
That's an excellent question. It appears that that might be the only opportunity that exists today, but we can follow up with Director Rakowitz and get back to the board on that, see if there's other opportunities to submit input on that project. So the date for the actual open house is Wednesday, February 21st from 4 to 6 p.m. And we can send out to the full board a calendar invite just so it's on your calendar. So you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, and then in the meantime, we'll follow up with Director Rakowitz on other opportunities to submit comment.
Anything else, Commissioner? Commissioner Gissler?
Thank you, Chair. Kevin, I know you mentioned it, probably I received it in writing, but what are we looking at in terms of the open house or ribbon cutting for the Charles A. Pratt Downtown Justice Center?
It's a great question. So Judge Jaguar, so Chief Judge Third Court, and as well as Chief Judge District Court, Judge Hemingway will be working with both the courts and the prosecutor's office. They're assembling a small team, or I would say a committee, to start planning that ceremony process. I believe they'll want some commissioners on there, so they're going to start working on that process. So I've kind of left it up to them because they actually coordinated the one for the Gull Road Justice Complex. It went well, so they've been taking the lead on it, but I can get an update from them on what progress they've made.
So there is not a date that, because people are interested in my district saying, hey, when's that gonna happen?
Yeah, so there's no date yet. There's no date yet, Commissioner Gissler. However, I believe that we're anticipating it'll be sometime at the end of April or sometime in May, whenever the cold weather breaks. Yep.
Great, thank you.
I'd certainly push for commissioner representation on that committee. So if you can elbow your way to get at least one or two of us in there, that'd be great.
Any other questions for Administrator? All right, Commissioner DeLu. You're up.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank all the folks that applied to be in the opioid task force. And I'm always impressed by the amount of people in this community that offer to volunteer for several different committees and boards in this community. And it's very much appreciated. And I'm just sorry we can't take everybody. And on that note, I want to thank the commissioners for doing their homework, because I think that was a pretty smooth process that took about 1/10 of the time I thought it would. But, you know, when you do your homework and you come prepared, that's the result you get. So thank you.
Commissioner Gissler.
Thank you, Chair. I bring news of an open house for the new Road Commission building. They haven't set the exact time of day yet, but it's going to be March 28th, unless we get some kind of horrendous weather event between now and then. Sorry? How do you know that?
I got a flyer.
Oh, I guess, I trust Dale with my life. So if it's 4 o'clock for Dale, it's 4 o'clock for the rest of us. I still have some of these purple Avello discount coupons. Save yourself $25 if you travel down and back to Orlando between now and the end of June. And finally, my group that meets on second Mondays is meeting at Michelle's on Romance Road in Portage this next Monday. And our speaker will be Brian Long, economist from Grand Valley State. He talks to us every February because that gives him a chance to get his data locked up from last year, and he makes some forecasts on what he's expecting economically, not only globally, but nationally, and he deals specifically with Southwest Michigan. So, and it's not a big deal. We're an informal group. We are working on a secret handshake, but we have no dues or anything like that. So join us Monday at 8:30 and at Michelle's if you're interested. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Mazer.
Commissioner Morales.
I think some of those funds need to be invested in you online. So you can make us a little video about this Avelo thing. I don't have anything. I don't. Happy Valentine's Day to all the sweethearts in the house.
It's your birthday on Valentine's Day, right? Oh, happy birthday. And happy Black History Month.
I'd be remiss to say that. I'm gonna get smacked. Happy Black History Month. If you are not up on your Black history, I suggest when you log into Facebook, just type it in and they'll tell you something new every day. Have a good night.
Commissioner Wheeler?
So Commissioner Gissler, I've flown Avelo twice now to go back to go to Orlando and back, and it has been fantastic so far. And I've used your coupon code, so thank you. I don't have anything. Have a good night.
All right. If there's nothing further, we're adjourned.